Hello all. Today we are going to cover how to write business and system requirements in real time. And I'm going to explain it with referring to an actual feature from Amazon.com so that you can understand better. So please do watch the video till the end and please hit the like button, subscribe button and share it with your friends and do comment below if you have any questions. Let's go to the video. Today we are going to start with how to document business requirements and functional requirements and use case, right? Again, we are going to take up the same feature example, which is an Amazon cart. So what you see on your screen is an Amazon cart, which has an item in here. And how does this cart work? You can add stuff into the cart. So I'm going to add a book into this cart. So I'm going to go to cart and now we have these two items. And we discussed yesterday, we can add the quantity, we can reduce the quantity, we can delete, we can save for later. We can compare with other similar items. So now we'll start with use cases. We'll go through how to write use cases using this feature, referring to this feature, right? So use case. Now, if they tell you to write use case for Amazon cart, right? So the topic is going to be write a set of use cases for Amazon cart. Okay. So now I'll go through the entire set of use cases. Then we'll have a Q&A. Then I'll answer all the questions for the use cases. Then we'll go into business and functional requirements, right? So let me go through 3 or 4 use cases and then we can have a Q&A where I'll answer all the questions. First one, the use cases is about scenarios. Use case is about scenarios, right? First use case, add item to the cart. There is a description. The use case describes the process of adding an item into the shopping cart on Amazon. The actors are shopper, right? The shopper, or you can call them customer, based on the label that you want to assign, shopper, customer, client, whatever it is. And you can also put Amazon because Amazon is also interacting with so the actors, again, it is the customer, and then the customer is also interacting with Amazon, right? So you have to enter the system name also, the Amazon name also there. So that's actors. So who are all involved? What are all the entities? It could be a system. It in some cases, yeah, who and what, and even if it's not a human being, you can enter. So you don't have to go to a point where you enter information about an API and all. You don't have to go that deep, but just enter the name of the application. Even if it's an API, that API is going to do whatever it is doing through an application, right? So if you enter Amazon, that's more than enough, right? So that is actors. Second line, description. The use case describes the process of adding an item to the shopping cart, right? What is it? What are we doing? That's the description. And precondition. What are the preconditions? So in order to do this, you have to be logged into Amazon account. The product must be available for sale. Precondition should be met in order for you to add that item into your cart. Okay. What is the trigger? The trigger point could be on the level of application, or there is a to-do list. Think of a to-do list, right? Have you seen a to-do list? A to-do list would be a list where in the application itself, you will see all the to-do items. Example, I'm just gonna go to to-do list in an application. Images. So the to-do list that you see on the phone is something else. The to-do list something like this. It could be something like this that populates in your application, that is coming from your supervisor or somebody else. So that could be a trigger which is on the level of application. This trigger is on the level of mind. Shopper decides. So that is the trigger. It could also be on the level of application. That's why I showed you the to-do list, right? So normal flow. Shopper searches for a product. Now, only if the preconditions are met and there is a trigger, you will do this action, right? This adding item in the cart will happen. So shopper searches for a product. Shopper selects a product from the search results, which is what we do, right? So I go to Amazon. Again, I know this is basic, but I just want you guys to go through this, and I want this to be encrypted in everybody's mind. So you search for a product. I think, you know what? I'll just go through the whole thing, and then we'll go through it in the application, right? Shopper searches for a product. Shopper selects a product from the search results. Shopper views the product details. Shopper clicks the add to cart button. The system adds the product to the cart and updates the cart count. The system displays a confirmation message that the product has been added to the cart, right? So what are we doing? We search for the product. In this case, I'm going to search for a pen, and I'm going to go add this pen to the cart, and then we have to go to the cart. Is that what it is saying? Shopper selects a product from the search results we did. Shopper views the product details. Okay, so it's talking about viewing the product details, right? So once I go here, I'll go through the product details, which includes the details, which also includes the review. And if you want to be really descriptive and detailed, you can. If you want to project or convey or give light to the user experience, as they would call it, meaning exactly what the user goes through as he's going through this use case. That's called user experience. That's a term that you have to use. It's a very trendy term that's in trend this year. This is the first time I'm hearing. But anyways, so you have to go through these reviews and then you buy. So if you want, you can add this info also if you want to make it really, really detailed. And then, so that's the product details. The user clicks on the add to cart button, and then what happens? The system adds the product to the cart and updates the cart count, which happens behind the screen. The system displays the confirmation message that the product has been added to the cart, which sometimes I think we can see or sometimes we cannot see. I don't think it's doing that, but I have listed it in there. So just envision that happening. You see some kind of a notification message just coming and going, saying that the product has been added. So that is a use case. So this is the normal flow. Normally, this is what will happen, right? Normal flow. Alternate flow is item is out of stock. Shopper tries to add an out of stock item to the cart. The system displays an out of stock message and does not add the item to the cart, right? Now that can also happen. So there could be some out of stock items. If we dig deep enough, we can find. And then I'm not able to add that. So I'm not able to add that to the cart. That is another scenario. So that is the alternate flow. It's not going to happen all the time, but it could happen. So next one is, let's take another realistic scenario. This is something that we do. Update item quantity. The use case, again, description. The use case describes the process of updating the quantity of an item in the shopping cart. The actors are shopper. Like I said, I'm going to again add Amazon to it because it's Amazon is also in the picture. Preconditions. Shopper has added items to the cart. That is the precondition. Why is that? This use case is how are we going to update item quantity, right? So without items being in the cart, we cannot update it. So this is the cart. So now I'm going to update the quantity. I'm going to change it to 1. So this is what it's talking about. In the case where this item itself is not there, the first Uniball Signo gel grip stick pen, which is a very long name. But anyways, if this item is not there here in the cart, we cannot be adjusting the quantity, right? We cannot be making it to 9 or whatever it is, whoever is doing that. So that is the precondition. Shopper has added items to the cart, right? Trigger. Shopper decides to change the quantity of an item in their cart. That could be a trigger on the level of the mind. Like I said, think of the to-do list. There could be a trigger that is coming from the level of the application, right? So that is another trigger, right? So now normal flow. Shopper views the cart. Shopper selects the drop-down item for an item. Shopper changes the quantity. The system updates the cart with new quantity. The system recalculates the total price and displays the updated cart, which is nothing but, if I go here and if I just hit 5, you can see everything changing, right? You can see, did you guys see this price change? It changed, right? And that's what it's describing. So shopper views the cart, shopper selects the quantity drop down, which is what I did. Shopper changes the quantity. The system updates the cart with new quantity. The system recalculates the total price and displays the updated cart. So alternate flow. Quantity exceeds stock. The shopper tries to increase the quantity beyond the available stock. The system displays a message indicating limited stock and sets the quantity to the maximum available, right? So for whatever reason, I went into here and I want 100 pens. I want 100 pens now, but there's only 5 available. You can only do 5, right? So in the documentation, I just wrote it's going to show a notification message, but then what it's doing is it's auto-populating it to the maximum available units. That's what it's doing, right? That is the system behavior. So you can just put or auto-populate to the maximum available units, right? The system auto-populates to the maximum available units. Okay, so this is the second use case, right? So we will go through one more use case and then we can do use case remove item from the cart. Description, the use case describes the process of removing an item from the shopping cart. Actors are shopper and then Amazon, and we'll just go through this real quick. Precondition, shopper has added items to the cart, we know this. Trigger, shopper decides to remove an item from their cart. Normal flow, shopper views the cart, shopper clicks on the delete button next to the item, shopper removes the item from the cart, the system updates the cart count and the total price, the system displays the updated cart, which is nothing but I'm going here, I'm going to delete this. Keep an eye on the price. When I hit delete, what's happening? The price is changing and you no longer see the item on the cart. Again, if I hit delete, keep an eye on the price, delete, it's going. There's only one item, that item is gone. So that's what it's talking about. Alternate flow and removing the last item. Shopper removes the last item in the cart. The system displays a message indicating that the cart is empty. I wouldn't call it an alternate flow. It's in the gray area. This looks like the normal flow, but if you want, you can categorize it that way. But doesn't look like an alternate flow to me. It's talking about this scenario, and it's calling it, and I'm calling it alternate flow. So yeah, it says the cart is empty, but is this an alternate flow? I don't know. It could be, but it lies in the gray area. So yeah, the system displays message that the cart is empty, and that's what it's doing, right? Your Amazon cart is empty. So generally, alternate flow is when the reason I'm saying this is in the gray area because the alternate flow is when it is deviating from the normal flow. You want to buy something, you select that item, and you would normally think you'll buy it and you'll go forward and go ahead. But that item is not on the stock. There is no stock for that item. Now that is when alternate flow comes into the picture. It deviates from the normal flow, right? So yeah, so that is why I say this might be in the gray area. So generally think of it this way: normal flow, if it's deviated due to whatever reason, that becomes the alternate flow. Good example, the stock example. You go, you try to buy something, it's not in stock. So alternatively, what we will do? What is the alternate plan? So think along those lines. So this is the third one: remove item from the cart. So these are all the use cases. So now let's go into business and functional requirements. Okay, here it is. Okay, so when it comes to business requirements and functional requirements, business requirement will call out the requirement on a high level. Functional requirement will drill deep, and it will talk about all the details and all the functionality that is being added. In other words, the abilities that are being added. What is a functionality? You have to know what the term means. Functionality is nothing you can call you can describe functionality as an ability. So what is an ability? Ability is nothing but now we have ability to add items into the cart. That is an ability or a functionality that we have. So what is how do you describe that functionality? We are able to add items into the cart. Do you hear any design terminologies when I say this? No, there are no design terminologies, right? You have to understand this. This is very important to understand. whenever you do use case and whenever you do business and functional requirements, and especially this is the case for business and functional requirements, whenever you work on business and functional requirements, do not include any design language. Example, UI UX language, drop down, radio button, placeholder, pagination, scroll bar, accordion, all these names, right? So you should not be using any of these UI UX terminologies when you are writing business and functional requirements. So business requirement enhance the Amazon shopping cart to provide a seamless and efficient user experience, allowing customers to easily add, view, update, save for later, share, and proceed to check out with items in their shopping cart. So this is kind of describing this go to cart. It's kind of describing this cart in a on a very high level. It's just mentioning all the details and saying, okay, we need a cart. Should be able to do. We should be able to do all these things. It's describing the cart in a very high level. That's about it, right? That is a business requirement. Again, you could even make it briefer without going through all these details. Business requirements could look like that. So functional requirements, again, you don't have to, generally they don't add all these things. But functional requirement, it's going to look like this, right? The system shall display an add to cart button on the product details page. Now this is, you know what? The system shall provide the ability for the customer to add items into the cart. And what is the system name? You have to put the name of the application, the Amazon system. Or Amazon will have so many systems, right? So Amazon EC, they'll have a name to differentiate these applications. Amazon.com is only one application that Amazon has. Amazon might have thousands of applications, internet, desktop, that the business will use to do a lot of their activities, right? A lot of business-based activities. So just focus on functional requirement 1.1. The Amazon EC system shall provide the ability for the customer to add items into the cart. Now, this is a functional requirement. Let me finish this and then we can do a Q&A, right? Now, the second one will be the Amazon EC system shall provide the ability for the customer to update items in the cart or to add or remove items in the cart. So FR 1.3 will be the Amazon EC system shall provide the ability for the customer to update the number of units for each item present in the cart. So what else is this doing? The system shall allow the shoppers to add items into their shopping cart from the product details page, right? So this is how a business requirement will look. The system shall allow shoppers to add items into their shopping cart from the product details page. Now we need to maintain uniformity. So this is customers. Must allow customers to add items into their shopping cart. All this page, all this language should not be there. Just gonna mark this, the whole thing in red, so that you can kind of sort of differentiate. And let me put this in here. Let me put this in here. Okay. Now, so what else is the cart doing? We have the ability to add items. We have the ability to remove items and update the units. What else can we do with that feature where we can add stuff? Quantity. Yeah, that's about it, right? So we can, when it comes to that adding a product, example, an Amazon Kindle Scribe, we can change the quantity, we can remove it by hitting on delete, and we can change the quantity, remove it, add it. That's all we can do. So we can do, these are the things that we can do. I don't think we can do anything else, right? So this is the ability to add. The system shall allow the customers to add items into the cart. Yeah, that functionality now we are breaking down. That business requirement is broken down into 3 functional requirements. So let me just go over this briefly. So the system shall allow the customer to add items into their shopping cart. That's the business requirement. Functional requirement 1.1, the Amazon again. So I have to maintain uniformity. When you document, you have to maintain uniformity as well. The Amazon EC system shall provide the ability for the customer to add items into the cart. The Amazon EC system shall provide the ability for the customer to remove items in the cart. The Amazon EC system shall provide the ability for the customer to update the number of units for each item present in the cart. And one more thing, when it comes to adding items in the cart, functional requirement 1.4, the Amazon EC system shall not provide the ability for the customer to add items more than the permissible limit. So the Amazon EC system shall not provide the ability for the customer to add items more than the permissible limit unit wise. So that is functional requirement 1.4. Functional requirement 1.5, the Amazon EC system shall update the number of units to permissible limit if the customer attempts, if there is an attempt to add units beyond the permissible limit. So that is functional requirement 1.5. And Amazon EC system, and what is the business requirement, shall allow customers to add items to their shopping cart. Now we have to also add non-functional requirements. The Amazon EX system shall add the item into the cart within 3 seconds after the user adds it. It should not keep buffering after 3 seconds, right? That means the non-functional requirement is not met. NFR 1.7. So this is called non-functional requirement. This is called performance related non-functional requirement. And in your interviews, you should talk about all these things. If you keep telling them, I gathered requirements, I wrote business requirement document, it will not look good. You should be talking about all these things. At some point, when they ask a question, a relevant question, you should bring these things up in a very brief, crisp, concise manner. Now, this is performance related non-functional requirement, right? Now, I want to understand from an end user perspective, I want to understand how the end user is interacting with this feature. How is the end user interacting with this feature? I want to understand that from a strategy standpoint. I want to figure out whether this feature is being used in the right manner as it is intended to be used. I want to figure out whether the end user is getting confused. I want to figure out whether the end user is squinting and the end user is not able to see something and hence not able to interact with this feature the way he or she wants to interact. This is called telemetry. The Amazon EX system shall capture the telemetry data for the Amazon cart. So what does it do? What does this telemetry capture exactly? Now, if somebody comes here and I stay here for 10 minutes, I leave, that is captured. If somebody comes here, they click on compare with similar items, then they leave, that is captured. And what else is captured? If somebody just adds it here, right, and I delete it, and I just move on, that is captured. If I go forward and I buy it, that is captured. Everything is captured in telemetry. So all these behaviors are captured, but if you want, you can call it out, right? So you can put telemetry data of customers who defect after adding the item into the cart. I'll add one more telemetry. So this is telemetry, right? one more telemetry item, the Amazon. Okay, when did this become EX? It's EC. The Amazon EC system shall capture the telemetry data of customers who compare the item added to the cart with similar item. This is telemetry. Again, another topic that you should talk about if they call you for interviews, as opposed to saying things like, I captured requirements, I facilitated the joint application development session, I was involved in testing. Instead of all these slokas, you can talk about all these things, which will definitely add points. We've added 2 telemetry points, 1 performance non-functional requirement, and there is one more. And the name of that non-functional requirement is, it's a UI UX non-functional requirement, but the name of that non-functional requirement is, we have to make sure that this page is accessible. All the accessibility criteria are met. So what is accessibility criteria? So generally, any organization, they will have a set of accessibility criteria. So what exactly is accessibility criteria? The fonts must be at least 11 plus. We should not have colors like black or dark blue on buttons because the users will not be able to see. And note this down and do some research on it. It's homework. I'm not going to ask again, but this is for you to do. JAWS tool. There is a tool called JAWS tool. Note it down in a paper or pen or something where you guys can refer to it. It is called JAWS tool, right? And this JAWS tool is for people with vision impairments, who are visually challenged, who are having vision impairments, right? It's called JAWS tool, and that tool is used. It's like a screen reader. It's a screen reader actually, right? So the UI, the user interface must be JAWS compatible, or the user interface must be compatible with whatever screen reader tool that your organization is using. So what is an example where this is happening? I used to work for the government. I used to work for a state government, and they had a policy, an internal policy in place, because that government website, it actually belongs to the people. We don't know this, right? Government websites belongs to the people also. I mean, in fact, government websites belongs to the people first. All the government servants comes next, right? So all these government websites must be screen reader accessible. The reason is, people who don't have any vision are also coming and voting for you, right? So they should be able to read it. People might have hearing, they might not be able to hear, so they need something on that page, right? So there are several internal policies. If you have a government website, it should meet all these internal policies. And all these it could be a state or a federal policy also. So that is where this is going to come into the picture, right? So that is accessibility requirement, which is another form of non-functional requirement, right? So the Amazon EC system shall be accessible for the Amazon EC system shall be accessible for the customers to add and remove items, add and remove items from the cart, or add items into the cart, that kind of without any issues. Or especially what special needs, what's the right term to use? You cannot use challenged. Special needs, right? The Amazon EC system shall be accessible for the special needs customers to add items into the cart without any issues, right? Now that is another accessibility requirement. I mean, it need not be special needs all the time. Accessibility also encompasses customers who don't have special needs also. It has to make sense, right? If you are displaying something in a website, it has to make sense. Example, cigarettes, right? It has to be accessible. If you smoke cigarettes, you will die in 10 years or whatever it is that they show. Your lungs will look like some kind of a grayish matter after 20 years or something. So they display that on that cigarette box, right? Let's say if that's not accessible, Let's say that is very, very small, nobody can read it. Now that becomes a policy issue, right? That's why you have to display that, right? Same thing for applications, right? It's not that whoever is coming into that application has, I mean, the accessibility is only for special needs, but it kind of encompasses, it's kind of very broad. Special needs is just one aspect. I just emphasize that for understanding. So this is accessibility. So this is a non-functional requirement 1.9, right? So we capture telemetry, accessibility, performance related non-functional requirement. Next, what is next? Any next non-functional requirement 1.10 is, and drum rolls, security. The Amazon EC system shall be secure in terms of data for the customers to add items into the cart. Meaning, you should not. Now this application is going to know things about you that even the closest people will know about you when it comes to how you are going to interact with this page, right? So everything that you do in this page, literally everything, they know what you are doing, right? So we don't want them to sell this data and make money. That's what they are doing. Facebook is doing it extensively. Amazon, I'm sure they are doing it extensively. That is why I think even Mr. Ambani, he said data is the new oil. This is the reason, right? So in order to market, this data is very valuable. So we want this data to be secure. We don't want this data to be sold, right? My credit card info is in here, by the way. My credit card info is in here. So whatever info is there in Amazon, whatever info there is, whatever info is in Amazon, if that is sold, my credit card info, my address, my SSN, my SSN is not there, but my address, credit card info. People can steal money, people can apply for a loan under my name, anything can happen. So that is why Amazon EC system shall be secure in terms of data for the customer to add items into the cart. We should be very, that data must be handled with care. So I'm just gonna put security. And my credit card info, I mean, if we write requirements for the payment, right? You go and hit that pay button, then the funds get transferred. This is even more applicable. My credit card data must be secure. I don't want to lose that, right? That is in terms of security, non-functional requirement in terms of security, right? So if they ask you a question about non-functional requirement, you should not say something to the effect of anything that happens behind the screen is a non-functional requirement. No, you should specifically call these things out and talk in a very brief, clear, crisp manner. So this is non-functional requirement 10. So let's quickly run through this. So let's take this out. Business and functional requirements. Business requirement number 1, the Amazon EC system shall allow customers to add items into their shopping cart. Functional requirement 1.1, the Amazon EC system shall provide the ability for the customer to add items into the cart, which is literally the business requirement. The first one will be identical. That is not some kind of an error. It should be identical. And functional requirement 1.2, the Amazon EC system shall provide the ability for the customer to remove items in the cart, remove items from the cart. Grammar is also important. Make sure your grammar is good. And for international folks, grammar is horrible. So I'm not talking about the 5 of us, I'm talking generally international folks. I feel, including myself, the grammar is not up to the mark. So focus on that. You are a BA, the grammar must be exceptionally good because you write requirements. That is a skill set for you. 1.3, the Amazon EC system shall provide the ability for the customer to update the number of units for each item present in the cart. 1.3. 1.4, the Amazon EC system shall not provide the ability for the customers to add items more than the permissible limit unit wise. It should stop, right? We went through this. 1.5, Amazon EC system shall update the number of units to permissible limit if there is an attempt to add units beyond the permissible limit. So I'm talking about the behavior that we saw in here, right? Where I tried to add more than 5 units, and then I tried to add more than 10 units, and then it kind of auto corrects it to 1 because that is the maximum permissible units, right? I think it's doing that because we don't want to. It doesn't want anybody to bulk purchase and then sell it more than the purchase price, and that goes back again to customer service. That is point number 5. Point number 6, the Amazon EC system shall add the item into the cart within 3 seconds after the user adds it. Performance related. How frustrated will you be if you click on proceed to checkout? 5 minutes, it's not going through. 5 minutes keeps on buffering. Non-functional requirements not being met, end user not being happy, right? That is point 1.6. 1.7, the Amazon EC system shall capture the telemetry data of customers who defect after adding the item into the cart. So that is point number 1.7, that is telemetry. How is the user interacting with the feature? Is the feature satisfying the user? Other user behavior also. Are they satisfied with the product? Is this the product that's at fault? Is it the application that's at fault? What other behaviors are the user going through? As are they making any panic purchase? Are they making any purchase on a whim? So what is that behavior? How can we make money of that? Right? It's all about making money, right? Okay, if I display this person will purchase this on a whim without thinking. Okay, how to enable 10 million more people to do that? All these strategy decisions, telemetry data, plus is the feature doing what it is supposed to do? Are they squinting when they see a button because the text is very small? That is also taken care of by the telemetry. So Amazon EC system shall capture the telemetry data of customers who compare the item added to the cart with similar items. That is telemetry. The Amazon EC system, I mean, we can call out 10 more telemetry items, but I'm calling out 2 due to time constraints. 1.9, the Amazon EC system shall be accessible for the special needs customers to add items into the cart without any issues. Accessibility, again, accessibility encompasses, it's a very broad, encompasses even beyond special needs. If you are not able to see a button, then the accessibility requirement is simply not met, right? Or if the color is dark blue. Now, there is a reason why they have given yellow color here, by the way. They could have given gray. Why did they not give gray? Because they want you to go click on that button. Everything here, they've spent millions and millions of dollars to build. They've hired the best user interface, user experience experts to come look into this to see whether if we push this to production, it's like the best feature, right? In terms of color, in terms of performance, there's millions on millions of dollars pouring into this, right? And interact with Amazon, then interact with some other e-commerce application that was built a year ago. You will see the difference. The difference is millions or maybe billions of dollars, right? So now that is accessibility. What color are we using? What is the text size? There are experts who are only looking into this in an organization, right? And I used to work for a product company. There was a UI UX team who was only working on this accessibility stuff. And there were around, I think there were 4 staff that I could interact with. I mean, I didn't, that I could see on my teams. I interacted with one person, but I could see 3 more staff. So that is what, 500, 600,000 maybe, 600, 7,000, 600 to 700,000 dollars just on UI UX. Think about it, right? That is the amount of money that is pouring into these applications, right? The Amazon EC system shall be secure in terms of data for the customers to add items into the cart. So this is security. We don't want your credit card info to be with somebody in Eastern Europe. Then we don't know what's going to happen. They might take all the money, or anywhere for that matter, somewhere in Australia or India or wherever it is, right? So that could travel real fast. We don't want that. So the data must be secure, and all your behavior must be secure. That is a security-based non-functional requirement. Now, system requirement 1.1. So this is how the system requirements for this segment will be documented. It's not going to have any numbers. It's going to be like we go and look into this. What is there? Quantity button, quantity drop down. So I think even before that, right? I think as a part of this requirement, they should focus on add items into the cart. So how do they do that? I'm just seeing, right? So once I go or look for something, say I'm looking for a pen and I'm going into this and I'm having a add to cart button, right? So this is how I'm thinking. You can bundle this work the way you want it, right? You can bundle this add to cart work in another set of business requirement also. It's just like a bundle which has all the work in it. Now, since you are providing the ability for the user to add the item into the cart, that is the business requirement that we are trying to satisfy. So I'm going to just put uh, button to add to cart button on so and so page, right? So it's going to look like this. Must be on. So what is the name of the page? I'll again look into this. In this case, it's in the results page. It could be showing up in multiple other pages, but you have to mention the name of the page. And I'm taking this as the name of the page because it says results, right? Looks like this is the name of the page. That should be under codes 2, under the added on the results page.
Yes.
So because the developers, right, they want to see this actually. Then it will be, then they'll come up with something that looks exactly like this.
Yeah.
And then add to cart, and after add to cart, what else is there as a part of this? So first thing they'll do is they'll go here and then they will add something to the cart, like they will add this to the cart. Now they'll add this to the cart and then it goes into the cart. Now we'll talk about the cart experience. So there will be a screenshot for this also. Now this is happening, right? So this is how we want it to happen. So the developers will have something like this. Again, these things will be done by the developers, but in real time, there is 60% chance that you will be doing this. So it's as good as you have to be doing this. So this will be added. So this screenshot will be added to show the experience. So now there is this go to cart button, right? Now, remember, this is satisfying all the business and functional requirements. It's all you are saying it, you are saying something in English and then you are saying something in French. That is how business requirements and system requirements must be. But at the end of the day, you are saying the same thing. The language is different. What is being said is the same. If I say go and open the door, English and French, go and open the door. That is not changing. English, French, or maybe it's Java and Python, French or something else, Spanish. The message is the same. The message is not changing, right? So if you read through this and if you go through the system requirement document content, message is the same, right? But the language is different. So now there is the go to cart button, right? So that will be added here, must be added on the, and then you can enter the page name. And again, quotes, since this is a button, that's a UI terminology, button must be added on the what is the page? And I don't see a page name here, but in real time you have to add a page name, but here we don't have a page name. But in a lot of intranet applications, you will be seeing page names everywhere. Now, this one is an internet application. For some reason, they don't want to confuse the end users. And again, one more thing, 90% of the time, you will be 90% of the time you will be walking into an organization that's using intranet application, by the way, right? So I'm just going to put a page name anyways. So on the I'll just put the cart page so that it's not weird, based on the number of items and units that are added or added and removed. That's it. Now if you just give this to them, they will understand. So the system, Amazon system shall update the price based on number of items and units that are added and getting displayed. There is a display message. Then we can categorize it as a functional requirement. The Amazon EC system. Yeah, this is how you have to think as a BA. Now you got the point, right? So
Yes.
today when we started this, all we knew is Amazon system shall allow customers to add items into their shopping cart. This is the one-liner, or I mean, the one-liner is going to look like this, right? This is all you know. But now you see how you are thinking. That is what you have to develop. That is what is called what I for information or whatever it is that they say. So that is good. You are getting it. The Amazon system shall display a notification message if the number of units are less than 3 for that item. For the item that is going to be selected, because then they will be scrolling around many items, or they might select it already. So that is, so for the item that is going to be selected or selected. Okay. So what and all do we have? Shopping. I'll call this the shopping cart page because shopping cart is right here, and quantity drop down delete button. So
Yeah. Quantity. Yeah.
quantity, and again this should be within quotes. Another important point.
Quantity drop down.
Quantity drop down must be added to the, what's the name of the page? I forgot. Results page, is it? Shopping cart page. Okay.
To the shopping cart.
Shopping cart page. And then and we can also do it together also. Delete, save for delete button should be added to the shopping cart page. So delete button must be added to the shopping cart page. Yeah. I'll just put delete, save for later. Delete, save for later. And one more thing, yeah, we'll come to your point. We'll also add. So what the delete button does, the end user must be able to remove items from the cart by clicking on the delete button. It should be spelled out like this. Now, save for later. I'll finish this and then I'll document your scenarios. Button must be added to the same shopping cart page. The end user must be able to save for later, and the record must be captured in the save for later bucket. Let's just assume there is this cart, another alternate cart where it goes and sits. That record will go and sit, that item record, right? So that behavior is captured, specifically where it's going is captured. Compare with similar items and share. So now this is not a button, by the way, this is a hyperlink. If you look into that, that's a hyperlink, right? So again, it's very important to use the right terminologies, right? So so compare with similar items. I'll just compare with similar items, hyperlink, and when user clicks on this hyperlink, similar items show up, and user must be able to select. So now, and what you were saying something, and paste it in here, and yeah, I'll call it a notification message must be added that must be displayed if there is an discount offer. Example, and you have to call it out, limited time deal,
Okay.
and X percentage of that X will change, right? Any questions so far? The way we are documenting the design using the screenshots, exactly what they will code, exactly whether it's a notification message or an error message versus what we have captured in here. Any questions? And who's going to document this also? Sometimes the technical team might document, but sometimes they'll somehow put this work in your plate. Either ways, you should be able to work on this. So now we know how to document a system requirement document, right? Of course, we can actually keep building this and then include everything. But now, and one more thing, right? Error messages must be called out. So if it's an error message, say for example, the very error message that we talked about, right? So the condition for error message, more than permissible limit of units added, right? Error message will be, let's say there is an error message coming up if you put this quantity to 20, which is beyond the permissible limits. So the error message will be, please remove items. Only 5 items, only 5 units can be added. Please remove units. Only that X is a variable. It could be 5, it could be 10. Maybe you are ordering some sweater, it could be 10. You're ordering a
Yeah.
right? So this is how you talk. This is called verbiage. Another technical term, note it down, verbiage. The language of the error message is called verbiage.